There is a pain in this world. A pain that does not bleed. It does not leave a visible scar. Yet it shatters the soul into 1,000 pieces. You gave someone your entire heart. You trusted them with your hopes. You believed they would stand by your side forever. Then one day, the truth is revealed. They chose another. They broke the vow. The ground beneath your feet disappears. You fall into a deep, dark void. You ask yourself why this happened. You wonder what you did wrong. You feel a burning fire in your chest. This is the sudden storm of betrayal. When betrayal happens, the mind refuses to believe it. You wake up in the morning. For a brief second, everything feels normal. Then the memory returns. The pain hits you again like a heavy stone. You cry until there are no tears left. You feel completely alone. But please know this. You are not alone in this suffering. There was once a merchant who loved the winter. He found a magnificent frozen lake. The ice was thick and beautiful. He built a grand wooden house right in the middle of the lake. He thought his beautiful home would last forever. But the seasons must change. Spring arrived with warm winds. The sun grew hot. Slowly, the thick ice began to melt. The ice cracked. His house sank into the deep water. He sat on the shore and wept. He thought the lake had betrayed him. But the lake did not betray him. The lake was simply following the law of nature. Water freezes in winter. Water melts in spring. The merchant suffered because he expected the ice to stay frozen forever. He built his entire life on something temporary. Human relationships are often like that frozen lake. We build our happiness on the feelings of another person. We expect their love to remain solid forever. But human minds change. Desires shift like the wind. People are affected by their own karma. When their feelings change, the ice melts. Our house of happiness sinks. We feel betrayed. We feel angry. The pain you feel right now is real. You must acknowledge it. Let your tears flow freely. It is natural to mourn the loss of trust. But as you cry, look deeply into this pain. You are suffering because a beautiful illusion has ended. You believed someone else could guarantee your happiness. Look at your breath. Your life is still here. The person who left only took their physical presence. They did not take your true worth. They only revealed their own confusion. When you see the reality of the changing mind, a light appears in the void. You realize your foundation was built on shifting sand. This realization is painful. But it is the beginning of true awakening. You must build your house on solid ground. The storm is still raging around you. The winds of sorrow are still blowing. But deep inside, a new awareness is waking up. A quiet voice whispers that you will survive this storm. You just need to learn how to walk through the rain. You are walking through the rain. The drops fall heavily on your shoulders. You wonder why the cold pierces so deeply into your bones. The cold does not come from the rain itself. It comes from the fact that you expected the sun to shine forever. We suffer immensely when a relationship breaks. We suffer because we live in the illusion of forever. From a young age, society feeds us a beautiful dream. We read stories about lovers living happily until the end of time. We stand at weddings and listen to promises of eternity. We hear the words always and never. We take these words and lock them inside our hearts. We believe that human emotions are like solid mountains. We think that once love is declared, it becomes an unchangeable truth. But let us look quietly at the world around us. Look at the leaves on the trees. In the spring, they are bright green and full of life. In the autumn, they turn yellow and fall to the ground. Look at the clouds in the sky. They gather into thick shapes. Then they scatter into nothingness. The entire universe is engaged in a constant dance of change. Nothing remains exactly as it was a moment ago. Human beings are part of this universe. Our minds are also governed by this great law of change. Thoughts arise and fade away. Feelings blossom and wither. Desires change direction like the wind. Yet we demand that the heart of another person remains completely still. We demand that their love for us stays frozen in time. This demand is the root of our deepest sorrow. There was once a young man who climbed a high mountain. He reached the peak just as the sun began to rise. He saw a breathtaking sea of morning mist. The mist glowed with golden light. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. He wanted to keep this beauty for himself. He took a glass jar from his bag. He opened the jar and scooped up the glowing mist. He sealed it tightly. He ran all the way down the mountain. He wanted to place the jar in his room. He wanted to look at the golden mist every single day. When he arrived home, he eagerly held up the jar. But he did not see the golden mist. He only saw a few drops of plain water at the bottom of the glass. The mist had changed its form. The golden light belonged to the sunrise, not to the jar. The young man cried bitterly. He felt cheated by the mountain. He was not cheated. He simply did not understand the nature of the mist. The mist is beautiful because it is free. It is beautiful because it dances with the wind and the morning light. When you try to trap it, you lose it completely. You only get ordinary water. Love and human connections are exactly like that golden mist. They are incredibly beautiful when they happen naturally. But we try to trap them in a jar. The jar is made of our expectations. We label the jar with the word forever. We tighten the lid with our attachments. We squeeze the life out of the relationship. We want the other person to be exactly the same today as they were 10 years ago. When the person changes, the mist turns into water. The illusion breaks. The jar shatters. You look at the broken pieces on the floor and feel profound grief. You mourn for a promise that went against the very laws of nature. Understanding this does not mean we cannot love deeply. It means we love with open hands. We enjoy the mist while it is glowing on the mountain. We do not demand to own it. We appreciate the warmth of another soul while they walk beside us. We know that their path may one day turn in a different direction. You might ask yourself a painful question right now. If everything changes, was the love even real? Yes. The love was very real. It was as real as the blooming flower. A flower is real even though it fades in a few days. The beauty of the flower is not ruined by its ending. The love you shared was true in that moment. You must not let the ending erase the beauty of the beginning. The betrayal you are experiencing is a harsh awakening. It forcefully opens your eyes. It breaks the jar of illusion. You are standing in the middle of a broken dream. You realize you can never again rely entirely on another human being for your inner peace. This is a terrifying realization. But it is also a tremendous gift. You are being called to find something that does not change. You are being pushed to look inward. External things will always rise and fall. People will come and go. Promises will be made and broken. But there is a silent awareness within you. It observes the joy. It observes the heartbreak. It watches the changing seasons of your life. That awareness is your true home. We suffer because we bind our happiness to moving objects. Imagine tying your small boat to a large piece of driftwood in the river. You think the wood is a safe anchor. But the river flows rapidly. The driftwood is pulled through dangerous rapids. Your little boat is smashed against the rocks. You must cut the rope. You must tie your boat to the solid shore of your own awakened mind. The person who walked away from you is also floating in this river of change. They are swept away by their own currents. They are driven by forces they do not fully understand. They look for happiness in new places. They chase new illusions. Their mind is restless. Their heart is wandering. You wonder what is happening inside their head. You wonder what blind forces pushed them to break their sacred vows. The person who left you is lost in a thick forest of their own making. They believe a new path will lead them to lasting joy. They do not see the thorns hidden in the bushes. They do not understand the heavy seeds they are planting with their actions. Their wandering mind is clouded by a deep and ancient thirst. We will look closely at this thirst. We will observe the quiet mechanics of their choices. You watch the person you love walk away. You look at their face and see a stranger. You sit in the quiet room and ask yourself a very heavy question. You ask what the other person has that you do not. You wonder if you were not beautiful enough. You wonder if you were not kind enough. You spend hours searching for your own flaws. You tear your own soul apart trying to find a reason. But you are asking the wrong question. The betrayal is never about your lack of value. It is entirely about the deep void inside their own mind. Human beings are born with a quiet hunger. We want to feel alive. We want to feel important. We want to feel deeply desired. When life settles into a peaceful routine, the mind often plays a dangerous trick. Some people mistake peace for boredom. They cannot sit still in the quietness of a loyal home. They need noise. They need a spark to feel alive. They do not know how to find peace within themselves. So they run outward. They search for something or someone to fill their empty space. A new relationship provides a sudden burst of wild energy. The brain is flooded with powerful feelings. The ego is fed by new attention. The person who strays becomes addicted to this temporary feeling. They think they have finally found true happiness. They believe they have discovered their true soulmate. But they have only found a temporary escape. They are running away from their own inner emptiness. This is the seed of desire. Desire is a thick fog. It blinds the eyes. It deafens the ears. It makes wrong look like freedom. There was once a wealthy man who owned a vast estate. He had a garden filled with pure white lilies and calm water ponds. The garden was perfectly peaceful. It gave him clean air and quiet joy for many years. He had everything a person could ever need to be happy. One day a traveling merchant came to the gate. He carried a strange seed in his hand. He told the wealthy man that this seed would grow into a flower of blinding red color. He promised it would bring thrilling excitement to the quiet garden. The wealthy man looked at his white lilies. Suddenly he felt a deep boredom with his peaceful life. He wanted that thrill. He bought the strange seed. He planted it right in the center of his beautiful estate. The red flower grew very quickly. Its petals were bright and intoxicating. The man spent all his time staring at it. He neglected the rest of his garden. He thought he was the luckiest man in the world. But he did not know the dark truth. The roots of the red flower were highly toxic. They spread aggressively under the soil. They drank all the pure water. They poisoned the earth. Soon all the white lilies withered and died. The clear water ponds turned dark and foul. Eventually the red flower also died because the soil was completely ruined. The man was left standing in a barren land. The one who strays from a faithful home is exactly like this wealthy man. They have a peaceful life. They have the quiet devotion of a loyal partner. But the ego whispers that peace is not enough. The ego demands constant thrill. The third person is the bright red flower. The new connection feels wildly exciting at first. It feels like a grand awakening. They do not see the toxic roots spreading beneath the surface. They abandon the pure water of trust. They chase the burning fire of novelty. They trade a lifetime of solid peace for a few moments of intoxicating noise. You look at them right now and you think they are happy. You see them smiling in their new illusion. This sight brings you immense agony. You wonder why they get to smile while you are left crying in the dark. But true happiness cannot be built on a foundation of deceit. True joy does not grow from the tears of another human being. Their mind is actually in a state of deep chaos. In the Buddhist teachings, there is a concept of the hungry ghost. A hungry ghost has a giant stomach but a tiny throat. It is constantly starving. It runs around frantically looking for food. But no matter how much it eats, it can never be full. The food turns to fire in its mouth. A person driven by blind desire becomes a hungry ghost. They crave validation. They crave newness. The more they consume, the emptier they feel. They are completely trapped in a cycle of craving. The new person they chose will eventually become familiar. The thrill will slowly fade. The bright red petals will drop to the ground. When the excitement dies, the deep void inside them will return. It will be even larger and darker than before. They will look around and see the barren land they created. They destroyed their safe harbor. They burned their own house to feel warm for a few minutes. They will have to run again. They will search for another new spark to cure their endless cold. It is a terrifying cycle of suffering. Knowing this truth sets your heart free. You must stop asking if you were not good enough. You were the quiet garden. You were the pure water. You cannot cure a person who is addicted to poison. You cannot fill a cup that has a hole at the bottom. Their choice to plant the toxic seed was driven by their own profound ignorance. It was driven by an ancient thirst they have not yet learned to quench. They are lost in a very dark forest. We begin to see the betrayer not as a victorious conqueror. We see them as a lost traveler wandering in danger. They are drinking salt water to cure their thirst. The salt water only burns their throat and makes them thirstier. They are planting seeds of sorrow while expecting a beautiful harvest of joy. This is the supreme tragedy of ignorance. We can look at them with clear eyes. We no longer see them as a powerful figure who destroyed us. We see a confused soul trapped in the web of their own desires. Every thought has a weight. Every action leaves an invisible mark on the fabric of the universe. When they lied, they planted a seed. When they broke your heart, they watered that seed. The universe does not judge. The universe does not punish. The universe simply records and reflects. Every action sets a wheel in motion. We must now look at the soil where these seeds are planted. We will observe how the invisible scales of balance always find their way back to the center. The scales of balance always return to the center. This brings us to a profound truth of the universe. People often misunderstand this law. They hear the word karma and feel fear. They think karma is a cruel judge sitting in the sky. They imagine a furious entity waiting to punish wrongdoers. But the universe does not possess human anger. The universe does not seek revenge. Karma is simply the natural law of cause and effect. It is as natural as gravity. If you drop a heavy stone, it will fall to the earth. Gravity does not hate the stone. It simply operates according to its nature. Cause and effect work exactly the same way. Every thought is a silent seed. Every word is a drop of water. Every action is the soil we prepare. When a person deceives their loyal partner, they are planting seeds. They tell lies to cover their tracks. They act with selfishness. They ignore the tears of the person who loves them. They believe their secret is safe. They think they have escaped the consequences. But the mind is a perfect recorder. Nothing is ever truly lost. There was once a farmer who grew bitter melons. He lived next to a very kind neighbor. The neighbor had a well of pure, sweet water. The farmer was too lazy to dig his own well. Every night, he sneaked into his neighbor's land. He stole buckets of the sweet water. He poured this stolen water over his bitter melon vines. He laughed in the dark. He thought he was very clever. He believed the sweet water would magically change his bitter seeds. He thought he would harvest the sweetest fruit in the village. Months passed, and the harvest time arrived. The vines were heavy with large green melons. The farmer eagerly cut the biggest melon. He took a massive bite. Immediately, his face twisted in disgust. The fruit was incredibly bitter. It was even more bitter than the previous year. He was furious. He blamed the soil. He blamed the sun. He even blamed the neighbor. He did not understand a simple law of nature. Stolen sweet water cannot change the nature of a bitter seed. The seed determines the fruit. You harvest exactly what you plant. The person who betrayed you is just like this foolish farmer. They steal moments of illicit pleasure. They take the sweet energy of a new romance. They build their new joy on a foundation of lies. They think this new excitement will change their life into a beautiful dream. They believe they have found the ultimate happiness. But the seeds they planted are seeds of deceit. They planted seeds of betrayal. They planted seeds of cruelty. They water these dark seeds with the stolen thrill of their affair. They expect a harvest of lasting peace. But the law of the universe is absolute. Deceit can only grow into paranoia. Betrayal can only blossom into insecurity. When you build a house on lies, the walls are always shaking. The person who cheats will eventually fear being cheated on. They know how easy it is to lie. They know how easy it is to wear a mask. Therefore, they can never truly trust their new partner. The mind that creates deception becomes a prisoner of suspicion. This is the bitter fruit they must eventually eat. Karma does not need to send a lightning bolt from the sky. The punishment is already hidden inside the action itself. The betrayer carries their own prison inside their mind. They carry the heavy burden of a compromised soul. You do not need to curse them. You do not need to wish for their downfall. The universal law is already doing its work perfectly. Let us look deeper into the nature of the mind. The mind is like a fertile field. It accepts whatever we plant. It does not argue. It does not warn us. If we plant a flower, it grows a flower. If we plant a poisonous weed, it grows a poisonous weed. The betrayer has willingly planted weeds in their own mind. They have normalized lying to someone who trusted them. This normalization changes their character. It darkens their spirit. They lose the ability to appreciate pure and simple love. They lose the capacity for genuine intimacy. True intimacy requires absolute vulnerability. It requires a mind free of hidden secrets. A person carrying the heavy baggage of deceit cannot be truly vulnerable. They must constantly guard their words. They must remember their lies. They live in a subtle state of continuous anxiety. This anxiety is the beginning of their karmic harvest. You might see them smiling in photographs. You might hear stories of their grand new adventures. But a photograph cannot capture the quiet terror of a guilty conscience. A photograph cannot show the restless nights. Many people sitting in the ashes of a broken relationship make a common mistake. They watch the life of the person who hurt them. They wait eagerly to see karma strike. They want to see the betrayer suffer. They want to witness the bitter harvest. This desire is completely understandable. The pain in your heart demands justice. The ego wants to feel validated. But waiting for their karma is a dangerous trap. When you wait for their downfall, you are still bound to them. Your mind is still tied to their life. You are still letting them control your inner peace. You become a prisoner of their future. This is a heavy chain around your own neck. You must drop this chain. You must trust the absolute fairness of the universe. The universe does not need your supervision to balance its scales. Your only responsibility right now is your own healing. You must look at the seeds you are planting in your own garden. Will you plant seeds of endless bitterness? Will you plant seeds of hatred? If you hold on to revenge, you are drinking poison. You are watering your own bitter melons. You have already suffered enough. Do not add more suffering by holding on to anger. You have a clear conscience. You loved with an open heart. You kept your promises. Your pain is immense, but your soul is entirely clean. A clean soul can heal. A clean soul can find peace again. The pain of betrayal is like a violent storm sweeping through your garden. It breaks the branches. It scatters the leaves. It ruins the beautiful flowers you carefully grew. The destruction is heartbreaking. But the storm also washes away the hidden rot. The storm tests the roots of your own strength. When the storm finally passes, you will stand up. You will look at the empty space left behind. This empty space is not a punishment. It is a profound clearing. It is a preparation for something much greater. You are being given a chance to rebuild your life on a foundation of ultimate truth. The universe removes things from our lives for a reason. Sometimes a painful ending is the only way to save us from a lifetime of quiet misery. Breathe deeply and let the universe handle its own laws. Turn your eyes away from their barren field. Look back at your own beautiful soil. You have the power to plant new seeds today. You can plant seeds of self-respect. You can plant seeds of gentle healing. You can plant seeds of profound wisdom. The tears you shed right now will water these new seeds. In time, they will grow into a garden of indestructible peace. We must learn to see the grand design. We must step back and view the entire tapestry of our existence. Everything that happens is a lesson designed for our ultimate growth. The betrayal teaches you the true value of loyalty. The heartbreak teaches you the depth of your own resilience. The departure of an unfaithful partner makes room for true peace to enter. But we still wonder about the origin of this specific storm. We ask why this particular person was chosen to deliver this painful lesson. We look back at the very first day we met them. We remember the powerful magnetic pull. We remember the feeling of absolute destiny. It felt as though we had known them for 1,000 years. Perhaps we did. Perhaps the meeting was not an accident at all. There are hidden currents beneath the surface of our lives. These currents pull people together to resolve ancient stories. We will gently explore these unseen threads. We will look at the deep and mysterious debts that bind souls together, and the exact moment when those debts are finally paid in full. We often look back at the very first day. We remember the powerful feeling of destiny. We ask why the universe brought us together. We wonder why we met this specific person. This is a very deep question. The answer lies in the ancient echoes of the past. Nothing in this vast universe happens by random chance. Every meeting has a profound purpose. Every connection is written in an invisible ledger of energy. We call this energy karma. Karma is also about balance and debts. We meet people to balance this unseen ledger. There was once a devoted gardener. He cultivated a rare tree. This tree produced a single golden fruit every 10 years. He protected the tree with his life. He watered it with pure spring water. Finally, the golden fruit ripened. The gardener was overjoyed. But at dawn, a magnificent blue bird flew down. The bird landed on the branch. It ate the entire golden fruit in a few bites. Then it flew away without looking back. The gardener wept bitterly. He felt completely robbed. He cursed his bad luck. An old traveler was walking by. He saw the weeping man. He explained a hidden truth. In a time long forgotten, the gardener was a starving traveler. He had taken a piece of bread from a young boy to survive. That young boy was reborn as the blue bird. The bird came only to collect the ancient debt. The golden fruit was the exact payment required. The debt was now perfectly settled. The bird would never return. The gardener was completely free. Human relationships often follow this pattern. The person who came into your life was the blue bird. They came to collect a hidden debt of energy. You gave them your love. You gave them your time. You paid the debt with a pure heart. The betrayal was simply the final moment of this ancient transaction. The contract has expired. You feel broken because you wanted them to stay forever. You wanted the bird to live in your garden. But they were never meant to stay. They only came to balance the scale. Recognizing this truth lifts a massive weight off your shoulders. You did not fail. You simply finished paying what you owed. You are now completely debt-free. You do not owe them another tear. You do not owe them another second of your precious time. Your soul is clear and light. The sudden departure feels like a terrible curse. It is actually a profound liberation. You are free to grow a new garden for yourself. While you walk into your new freedom, the other person walks a different path. They took the payment, but they created a new chain for themselves. Their betrayal planted a dark seed in their own mind. We must look closely at their current state. We will observe the heavy burden they are now carrying in their wandering soul. You look at the person who walked away. You see them smiling. You see them holding another hand. They look like they have won. The world might even celebrate their new romance. You sit in silence and feel entirely defeated. But what you see is only the surface. You are looking at a painted mask. Beneath that mask a very different reality is unfolding. The person who causes deep pain is never truly free. They are actually deeply trapped. They are caught in a prison of their own making. The mind that seeks temporary pleasure at the expense of another is a restless mind. It is a wandering mind. It cannot find true rest anywhere. When they betrayed your trust, they broke a sacred bond. They ignored the voice of their own conscience. To do this, they had to silence their inner compass. They had to blindfold their own soul. A blindfolded soul cannot find its way home. It can only wander aimlessly from one illusion to the next. There was once a wanderer who lived in a safe and quiet village. He had a solid roof over his head. He had a warm fire burning in his hearth. But his heart was deeply restless. He could not appreciate the quiet peace. He heard rumors of a magical glowing stone hidden deep in the dark forest. The villagers said this stone brought endless euphoria. They also warned that the forest was filled with danger. But the wanderer did not listen. One night he abandoned his home. He walked deep into the dangerous woods. After many days of searching, he finally found the glowing stone. It was breathtaking. It pulsed with a warm and intoxicating light. He held it tightly in his hands. He felt a sudden rush of absolute power. He felt completely alive. He thought he had found the ultimate treasure. He laughed at the villagers who stayed behind. He thought they were foolish for living such simple lives. But the forest was completely dark. The glowing stone was incredibly bright. This bright light immediately attracted the hidden creatures of the night. Wolves began to circle him. Venomous snakes crawled toward the warmth of the stone. Shadowy beasts followed his every step. The wanderer was terrified. He started to run through the thick trees. But he could not hide. The glowing stone revealed his exact location at all times. He was exhausted. His legs were heavy. He was freezing in the night wind. But he refused to drop the stone. He was too attached to its beautiful light. He convinced himself that the light was worth the terror. He spent the rest of his life running. He never slept peacefully again. He lived in a state of constant fear. He traded his safe home for a beautiful glowing curse. The unfaithful partner is exactly like this wanderer. Their new affair is the glowing stone. It feels magical at first. It gives them a massive rush of excitement. It makes them feel alive and powerful. But it is a stolen light. It is built on a foundation of betrayal in the dark forest of deceit. And just like the cursed stone, this new affair attracts invisible beasts. What are these invisible beasts? They are paranoia. They are insecurity. They are the constant and quiet fear of losing what they stole. The betrayer knows they are capable of lying. They know how easy it is to wear a mask and deceive someone who loves them. Therefore they secretly believe their new partner can do exactly the same thing. The beast of suspicion follows them everywhere. They check messages with a racing heart. They analyze every change in tone. They can never truly rest. The stolen light of their new romance exposes their own lack of integrity. A house built on a lie requires constant and exhausting maintenance. They must remember their stories. They must justify their actions to themselves every single day. They build thick walls of denial to protect their fragile ego. They tell themselves they deserve to be happy. They tell themselves the betrayal was necessary. But the truth is extremely heavy. Guilt is a very quiet shadow. It does not shout. It does not make a loud noise. It simply sits in the corner of their mind. It waits for the moments of silence. It waits for the middle of the night when the world is completely still. When the initial excitement of the new affair fades, the shadow steps forward. They feel a sudden unexplainable chill in their bones. They try to fill this chill with more noise. They buy new things. They travel to new places. They post happy pictures for the world to see. But you cannot outrun your own mind. You cannot hide from your own karma. When you truly understand this, your perspective shifts entirely. You stop seeing them as a victorious winner. You stop seeing yourself as a defeated loser. You are the one who stayed in the safe village. You kept the warm fire of your integrity burning brightly. Yes, your heart is currently broken. Yes, you are grieving the loss of a beautiful dream. But your soul is completely safe. Your mind is entirely free from the shadowy beasts of guilt. You can sleep at night with a clear conscience. You can look in the mirror and recognize the honest person staring back at you. The wanderer cannot do this. They look in the mirror and see a stranger. They see someone who broke a sacred vow for a temporary thrill. This creates a deep fracture in their identity. A fractured identity brings a lifetime of silent suffering. They may smile brightly for the camera. They may boast loudly about their exciting new life. But true happiness does not need to boast. True peace is silent and remarkably steady. Pity the wanderer. Do not envy them for a single second. Their journey is long and filled with hidden thorns. They have lost the most valuable thing in the human experience. They lost a faithful heart that truly loved them. They traded a priceless diamond for a shiny piece of glass. They think the glass is beautiful because it reflects the light. But one day they will squeeze too tightly. The glass will break and deeply cut their hands. The grand illusion will finally shatter. They will be left alone with their wandering mind. You now understand their hidden suffering. You know they are trapped in a prison of their own desires. This brings a profound sense of clarity to your mind. But clarity does not instantly erase the human pain. A deep and burning fire still remains inside your chest. It is the fire of anger. It is the natural and powerful desire for justice. You want them to feel your pain. You want the world to know what they did. You want to scream into the void. This anger is a completely natural reaction to betrayal. But it is also a very dangerous flame. If left completely unchecked, this flame will not burn them. It will only burn your beautiful garden. We must look directly into this fire. We must understand how to extinguish these flames before they consume your peaceful soul. The mind is clear, but the heart is still on fire. You understand their karma. You see their hidden suffering. But understanding does not immediately stop the bleeding. A powerful emotion rises from the depths of your stomach. It travels up to your throat. It makes your hands shake. It is the fierce fire of anger. This anger is completely normal. It is the natural cry of a wounded spirit. You gave unwavering loyalty, and you received cruel deceit. You want absolute justice. You want them to feel exactly what you are feeling right now. You want the world to see their true face. You want to strip away their happy mask. You imagine scenarios where they lose everything. You want to scream into the sky. You want to punish them for breaking your beautiful world. You must not feel guilty for having these thoughts. Anger is a human reaction to profound injustice. But anger is also a completely blind force. It does not know the difference between the guilty and the innocent. It only knows how to consume. When you hold tightly onto anger, you are the only one burning. There was once a peaceful village in a green valley. A hard-working weaver lived there. He spent 10 entire years weaving a collection of magnificent carpets. He poured his soul into every single thread. He built a large wooden storehouse to keep his beautiful life work safe. He was very proud of his creation. One night, a deeply jealous neighbor sneaked into his yard. The neighbor threw a burning torch into the wooden storehouse. The dry wood caught fire instantly. The weaver woke up to a terrifying sight. He saw his 10 years of dedication turning into dark ashes. He saw the neighbor running away toward the hills. The weaver was absolutely furious. His rage blinded him. He did not grab buckets of water to save his remaining carpets. He did not call the villagers for help. Instead, he reached directly into the roaring fire. He pulled out a thick, burning piece of wood. He decided to chase the neighbor. He wanted to burn the neighbor back. He ran as fast as his legs could carry him. He held the flaming log high in the air. But the night wind was blowing fiercely against his face. The strong wind blew the bright sparks backward. The sparks landed in his own hair. They caught his own clothes. The neighbor was far away and completely unharmed. The weaver collapsed on the dirt road. He was severely burned by the very weapon he meant to use for revenge. His precious carpets were completely gone. His physical health was entirely ruined. He destroyed his own body just to chase a fleeting shadow of vengeance. When someone betrays you, they do exactly what the jealous neighbor did. They set your safe and beautiful house on fire. They destroy the delicate trust you carefully wove over many long years. Your immediate reaction is exactly like the angry weaver. You want to grab a burning piece of wood. You want to run after them and burn their new life to the ground. You spend hours stalking their new reality. You write furious messages in your head. You speak bitterly about them to anyone who will listen. You try to expose their lies. You want to destroy their new joy. But look very closely at what is truly happening. The person who hurt you is far away. They cannot feel the intense heat of your rage. They are not losing sleep over your daily bitterness. The fire is only burning you. It is consuming your physical energy. It is burning away your precious peace of mind. It is destroying your ability to smile at the gentle morning sun. You are carrying a burning log inside your chest. Every single time you replay their betrayal in your mind, you blow strong wind onto that fire. The hot flames grow bigger. Your own beautiful soul gets charred and blackened. You did not deserve the painful betrayal. You certainly do not deserve this self-inflicted burning. You must ask yourself a very important question. Why are you continuing the destruction they started? They burned your past. Do not let them burn your present and your future. How do we put this devastating fire out? We do not put out a raging fire with more fire. We put out fire with cool and pure water. The water is your own mindful awareness. When the fierce anger rises today, do not judge yourself. Do not say you are a bad person for feeling immense rage. Just observe the rising heat. Say quietly to yourself that anger is present in the room. Feel your heartbeat racing fast. Feel your hands forming tight fists. Just watch the physical sensation happen. By watching the anger without immediately acting on it, you stop feeding it oxygen. You become the calm observer of the storm. The storm is wild, but you are sitting in a safe shelter. You watch the flames dance, but you do not reach in to grab the burning wood. Tears of deep understanding are the most powerful water. These are not tears of a defeated victim. These are tears of profound realization. You realize that carrying this burning log is a terrible punishment you are giving to yourself. You realize your hands are meant for better things. You must gently open your tight fists. You must drop the burning log to the ground. Let the flames die out in the dirt. Let the ashes be ashes. Your beautiful house of trust was destroyed. You must take time to mourn the loss of that house. Weep for the shattered dreams. But do not destroy your own heart in the painful process. You desperately need your hands to weave a brand new life. You need your clear eyes to see the new path ahead. You need your heart to experience pure joy again. A heart filled to the brim with hot rage has absolutely no room for new love. A mind completely consumed by dark revenge cannot see the fresh opportunities blooming right in front of it. The universe is trying to offer you a fresh start. But your hands are too full of burning wood to accept the new gifts. Dropping the burning log is incredibly difficult. The wounded ego strongly wants to hold on. The ego whispers lies into your ear. It tells you that letting go means the betrayer wins. The ego tells you that if you stop being angry, their cruel actions are suddenly excused. This is a very deceptive and dangerous trap. Letting go does not excuse their terrible behavior. Letting go simply saves your own life. Holding on to deep resentment is exactly like brewing a dark and toxic drink. We carefully brew this bitter drink every single day. We boil it with our painful memories. We stir it with our sharp anger. We fully expect the other person to eventually swallow it and suffer. But we are the only ones holding the cup. We are the only ones drinking the poison. We will now look closely at this bitter drink. We will understand why we must gently put the heavy cup down forever. You hold a dark cup in your hands every single day. The cup is filled with heavy resentment. You carefully brew this bitter drink each morning. You use your most painful memories as the dark tea leaves. You boil the water with your intense anger. You stir the liquid with sharp thoughts of revenge. You wait quietly in the shadows. You fully expect the person who betrayed you to walk through the door. You want to force them to drink this bitter cup. You want them to feel the exact agony they caused your heart. But look closely at your reality. The person who hurt you is completely gone. They are living a different life far away. They are not walking through your door. They are not reaching for the cup. You are the only one standing in the room. You hold the cup so tightly that your fingers ache. The bitter smell fills your own nose. The toxic vapor stings your own eyes. In your profound thirst for justice, you slowly lift the cup to your own lips. You take a sip. You drink your own poison. There was once a proud warrior who lost a battle to a rival. The warrior survived, but his pride was deeply shattered. He wanted absolute revenge. He traveled to a dark cave to find a toxic black root. A wise healer warned him about this dangerous root. The healer said the root would slowly kill anyone who touched it with bare skin. The warrior did not listen. He wanted to grind the root into a fine powder. He planned to throw the powder into the face of his enemy. He sat in his room every single night. He ground the black root with a heavy stone. The toxic dust filled the air of his small room. The black powder coated his hands. It settled into the pores of his skin. He spent 5 years waiting for the perfect moment to strike his enemy. He breathed the toxic dust every day. His hands turned black and withered. His lungs grew incredibly weak. His body became frail and completely broken. When he finally found his enemy, the warrior was too weak to even lift his arms. His enemy looked at him with pity and simply walked away. The warrior collapsed in the dust. He did not die by the sword of his rival. He died from the very poison he prepared for his enemy. He destroyed his own life for a moment of revenge that never came. Holding on to deep resentment is exactly like grinding that toxic black root. You think you are preparing a weapon to destroy the person who betrayed you. You think your bitter thoughts are actively punishing them. But the toxic dust is only settling into your own soul. The bitterness is coating your own heart. It makes your spirit heavy. It makes your mind incredibly weak. The person who cheated on you is completely unaffected by your silent rage. They do not feel the heat of your anger. They do not taste the bitterness of your dark tea. You are the only one suffering the heavy consequences. You are drinking the poison every time you check their pictures. You are drinking the poison every time you replay their lies in your head. You are poisoning your own present moments. You must look at your stained hands. You must realize what this bitterness is doing to your beautiful spirit. The deep pain of betrayal was their fault. But drinking the poison every day is your own choice. You have the immense power to stop drinking. You have the absolute right to pour the bitter tea onto the ground. Pouring the tea away does not mean the betrayal was acceptable. It means your own health is much more important than their punishment. It means you choose your own peace over their destruction. When you drop the cup, your hands are finally empty. Your lungs can breathe pure air again. Your heart can begin the quiet work of true healing. You step out of the toxic room. You walk into the fresh sunlight. But the bright sunlight can sometimes play cruel tricks on our tired eyes. When we step into the vast desert of our new life, we become extremely thirsty. We look for new water. Sometimes we see a beautiful shimmering lake in the distance. We start running toward the beautiful water. We will now look at this dangerous illusion. We will learn how to recognize a mirage before it breaks our healing heart all over again. You drop the bitter cup of poison. You step out of the dark room of resentment. You find yourself walking in a vast and unfamiliar desert. This desert is your new life after the betrayal. The landscape is completely bare. The comforting trees of your past are gone. The familiar rivers of your old routine have completely dried up. You are walking alone beneath a very hot sun. The heat of loneliness beats down on your tired shoulders. Your throat becomes incredibly dry. You feel a desperate thirst for deep affection. You want someone to hold your hand. You want someone to tell you that you are worthy of love. This deep thirst is the most dangerous moment in your long healing journey. When the heart is starving, it will eat anything. When the soul is intensely thirsty, it will drink from poisoned wells. There was once a wealthy merchant traveling across a great desert. He rode a very strong camel. He carried a small leather pouch filled with pure mountain water. This precious water was enough to sustain him until the end of his journey. He only needed to drink a small drop each day. He only needed to be patient and walk steadily. But the merchant was greedy and extremely impatient. He hated the dry heat of the empty desert. He wanted to swim in a massive pool of cool water. He stared constantly at the distant horizon. On the third day, he saw a magnificent sight. He saw a massive shimmering blue lake far away. He saw tall green palm trees swaying in the gentle wind. He heard the faint sound of splashing water. He was completely overjoyed by this beautiful vision. He wanted to run toward the lake as fast as possible. But his camel was heavy with supplies. His leather pouch felt like a heavy burden. In a moment of absolute madness, he untied his pouch. He poured all his pure mountain water directly onto the hot sand. He thought he would not need it anymore. He truly believed he was about to jump into a limitless lake of joy. He whipped his camel and raced toward the shimmering blue water. He rode for hours under the burning afternoon sun. But a strange and terrifying thing happened. The faster he rode, the further the lake seemed to move away. The blue water kept retreating into the distant horizon. Finally, his camel collapsed from pure exhaustion. The merchant fell onto the burning sand. He looked closely at the ground before him. There was no cool water. There were no green palm trees. The beautiful blue lake was only a cruel trick of the light. It was a mirage created by the intense heat of the blinding sun. He looked back at the long path he took. He remembered the pure water he foolishly poured into the dry sand. He cried out in profound regret. He traded his actual survival for an empty optical illusion. He perished in the silent desert, chasing a ghostly vision. When your heart is deeply broken, your mind creates powerful mirages. The deep thirst for external validation distorts your clear vision. You walk into the new world desperately seeking instant comfort. You might meet a new person. They speak a few kind words. They give you a small bit of gentle attention. Suddenly, your thirsty mind magnifies this tiny drop of attention. You project all your secret hopes onto this new stranger. You imagine they are the grand oasis that will save you from your misery. You deeply believe they will erase all the pain of your past betrayal. You start to run toward them with reckless and blind speed. You pour out all your remaining emotional energy. You completely abandon your quiet boundaries. You ignore the very clear warning signs. You think this new connection will instantly cure your deep loneliness. But the lonely mind is a master of dark deception. You are not seeing the real person standing in front of you. You are only seeing a beautiful projection of your own intense desires. You are seeing exactly what you desperately want to see. When you finally reach them, the grand illusion breaks. You realize they are just another flawed human being. They cannot carry the massive weight of your broken heart. They cannot magically heal your deep inner wounds. The shimmering lake disappears into thin air. You are left standing on the hot sand once again. You feel even more exhausted than before. You feel completely drained of all life. You poured out your own precious inner peace for a fleeting illusion. This is the tragic and painful trap of the rebound relationship. We desperately try to fill a spiritual void with a temporary physical connection. The pure mountain water in the old story represents your own inner strength. It represents your deep self-respect. It represents your beautiful capacity to sit quietly with your own pain. You already possess all the pure water you need to survive this vast desert. You just have to drink it very slowly. You must be deeply patient with your own wounded soul. Do not pour away your self-respect to chase a new spark. Do not abandon your quiet healing process for temporary noise. The mirage constantly promises instant relief. But instant relief is always a dangerous lie. True healing requires you to walk steadily through the dry sand. It requires you to face the heat of loneliness without running away in fear. Loneliness is not a terrible disease. Loneliness is actually a profound and silent teacher. It teaches you how to become your own best friend. It shows you the hidden strength in your own spine. When you finally stop chasing mirages, your eyes become perfectly clear. You stop seeing false lakes in the sky. You start looking for the real springs hidden beneath your own feet. You begin to dig a deep well inside your own beautiful mind. You water this sacred well with daily meditation. You fill it with gentle acts of pure self-care. You protect it with very strong boundaries. Soon, a cool and endless spring of joy bubbles up from within your chest. You never have to beg anyone for water again. You become a walking oasis of peace. The person who betrayed you is also chasing a beautiful mirage. They foolishly poured out the pure water of your loyal love. They ran blindly toward the shimmering illusion of a brand new affair. They are still running in their own burning desert right now. They will eventually collapse on the hot sand. They will painfully realize they traded a real home for empty air. But you are very different now. You deeply understand the nature of the trick. You see the light bending on the hot sand. You gently close your eyes and return to your steady breath. You find deep and lasting comfort in your own silent presence. You realize that you cannot possess another human being to save yourself. You realize that trying to own someone is the dark root of all human misery. The illusion of ownership causes us immense and needless pain. We hold on to people as if they belong to us forever. We will now gently observe this great misunderstanding. We will learn how to love deeply without closing our tight fists. We experience profound agony because we believe a grand illusion. We deeply believe that we can own another human being. When we say we love someone, we often mean we want to possess them. We put an invisible ring around their soul. We declare that they belong entirely to us. We expect their thoughts to always align with our desires. We expect their heart to beat only for our comfort. This grand illusion of ownership is the very root of human heartbreak. There was once a gentle farmer who lived in a lush green valley. A beautiful river flowed right through the middle of his land. The water was crystal clear and perfectly cold. The river made a joyful singing sound as it washed over the smooth stones. The farmer loved this river more than anything else in the world. He sat by the water every single evening. He felt a deep sense of peace. One day a dark thought entered his mind. He worried that the river might change its course. He worried that the water might flow into his neighbor land. He wanted the singing river to belong exclusively to him. He spent months building a massive stone wall across the water. He created a giant dam to trap the beautiful river inside his own garden. He thought he had successfully secured his happiness forever. But a trapped river does not sing. The water could no longer flow freely. It lost its joyful energy. The crystal clear water slowly turned dark and cloudy. Mud gathered at the bottom. The beautiful fish swam away or died. The river became a stagnant and silent pool. The farmer wept bitterly by the muddy water. He destroyed the very thing he loved because he tried to own it. Human beings are exactly like that beautiful singing river. We are entirely made of flowing energy. We are constantly moving and changing. When you meet someone, you are sitting by the river. You can listen to their beautiful song. You can feel their gentle presence. You can drink the sweet water of their affection. But you must never try to build a stone dam around their spirit. When you try to own a partner, you build a wall of expectations. You suffocate their natural flow. True love is a state of absolute freedom. It is the joy of watching the river flow naturally. The person who left you was simply a river changing its course. They flowed into a different valley. They followed their own confusing currents. You feel betrayed because your stone dam was broken. You feel angry because the water escaped your control. But you must realize a profound truth. You never truly owned them in the first place. You cannot lose something you never owned. Their heart always belonged to their own journey. Their choices always belong to their own karma. Letting go is simply accepting the natural law of the universe. You must open your tight hands. You must let the water slip through your fingers. This acceptance brings a sudden and immense wave of peace. You realize your own happiness does not depend on trapping a river. You are a complete and whole universe all by yourself. The departure of the river reveals the solid ground beneath your feet. The water is gone, but the rich soil of your soul remains exactly where it is. You are forced to look at your own reflection. You stand alone in the quiet garden. The silence feels heavy at first. But this silence is completely necessary. It gives you the space to hear your own true voice again. You often tie your personal value to the presence of another person. You think their departure means you are worthless. We will now look at this deep misunderstanding. We will discover how to rebuild your absolute self-worth from the inside out. You stand alone in the quiet garden. The sudden silence forces you to look deeply at yourself. When someone walks away, you often make a very tragic mistake. You silently link your personal value to their physical presence. You believe that their departure means you are no longer precious. You tell yourself that if you were truly good enough they would have stayed. This dark thought is a heavy chain around your neck. It drags your spirit down into the deep mud of despair. There was once a blind merchant who owned a magnificent blue sapphire. The sapphire was incredibly rare and perfectly formed. It glowed with a soft internal light. But the blind merchant could not see its profound beauty. He only felt its heavy weight in his hands. One day a traveler offered him a smooth piece of cheap glass. The glass was highly polished and felt perfectly round. The blind merchant liked the smooth feeling. He happily traded his priceless sapphire for the worthless glass bead. He walked away thinking he made a wonderful deal. Did the sapphire lose its immense value because a blind man gave it away? Absolutely not. The gem remained incredibly precious. Its brilliant light was completely unchanged. The only tragedy was the deep ignorance of the blind merchant. He simply lacked the clear vision to recognize a true treasure. You are exactly like that magnificent blue sapphire. Your worth is absolute and completely unchanging. Your value was perfectly established the exact moment you were born into this vast universe. You do not need another human being to confirm your beauty. You do not need an unfaithful partner to validate your pure existence. Their choice to leave was the exact choice of a blind merchant. They traded your profound loyalty for a cheap and temporary thrill. They chose the smooth glass of a fleeting affair over the solid weight of true devotion. Their terrible choice reflects their own deep confusion. It does not reflect your inherent worth. Do not judge your pure light by their absolute inability to see it. When you desperately beg them to stay, you are asking a blind person to appreciate a beautiful painting. You must stop trying to prove your absolute value to a deeply confused mind. In the deep teachings of spiritual awakening, every single being carries a pure diamond inside. This is your true spiritual nature. Sometimes the diamond gets covered in a thick dust of rejection. The dust makes you feel cold, empty, and entirely worthless. But the dark dust is never the diamond. You only need to wash your tired mind with the clear water of self-compassion. Breathe deeply, and gently wipe away the dark dust. Look closely at your own brilliant reflection. You are a complete universe entirely on your own. You have a warm heart capable of immense love. You are perfectly whole exactly as you are right now. You begin to realize your magnificent light. But your mind might still wander to the new couple. You might wonder about the person who eagerly took your place. You wonder if they are truly happy in their stolen castle. We will now cast a bright light onto that specific illusion. We will clearly observe the heavy karma attached to the third person. You watch them walk away together. You wonder if the third person is the ultimate winner. They wear a bright smile. They hold the prize tightly. They look completely victorious. But let us look closer at the foundation of their new castle. A relationship built on the tears of another is fundamentally flawed. It is built directly on a deep fault line. The ground beneath them is constantly shaking. They think they have found true love. But they have only found a shared illusion. There was once a selfish wanderer. He coveted a magnificent golden lamp. This lamp belonged to a quiet family. It brought warm and steady light to their home. The wanderer sneaked into their house at night. He stole the beautiful lamp. He ran far away to his own dark cave. He lit the wick and rejoiced. He thought he was incredibly clever. He believed the beautiful light was now his forever. But he did not know a vital secret. The golden lamp required a very pure oil to burn clearly. The peaceful family had spent years cultivating this pure oil through honest hard work. The wanderer only possessed cheap and dirty fuel. When he poured his dirty fuel into the golden lamp, a terrible thing happened. A thick and toxic black smoke filled his entire cave. The golden light died completely. He was left choking in the absolute dark. He stole the object. But he could never steal the pure environment that made it shine. The third person is exactly like this foolish wanderer. They stole the golden lamp. They took the partner away from your loyal home. But they cannot steal the pure trust you built. They cannot replicate the solid foundation of your honest devotion. They pour the dirty fuel of deceit into their new relationship. They started their connection in the shadows of secrecy. This dirty fuel will inevitably create toxic black smoke. The initial excitement will quickly burn out. They are constantly aware of how the relationship started. If their new partner lied to you, their partner can easily lie to them. This is the heavy karma of the third person. They must sleep next to a proven betrayer every single night. The silent ghost of suspicion will constantly haunt their bed. They will check phones in the dark. They will question every late arrival. Their stolen prize becomes their permanent mental prison. You absolutely do not need to seek revenge. The universal law of cause and effect is already active. Their temporary joy is heavily mortgaged. They borrowed their happiness at a terrible spiritual rate. The debt collector of karma will eventually knock on their door. You must withdraw your energy completely from their dark cave. Do not waste another second looking at their smoky illusion. You are standing outside in the fresh air. Your lungs are perfectly clear. You have the bright sunlight guiding your steps. You are ready to drop the heavy bags of the past. Releasing your deep attachment is incredibly painful. But it is the only true way to find your ultimate freedom. We will now learn how to open our tight hands. We will discover the immense courage required to finally release what no longer serves your beautiful soul. Releasing your deep attachment is incredibly painful. You hold on to the past because it feels safe. You remember the warm memories. You remember the beautiful promises. You want to keep those memories alive in your mind. But holding on to a dead dream is like holding a sharp blade. The tighter you grip the blade, the deeper it cuts your own hand. You must find the profound courage to let go. There was once a frightened traveler climbing a steep and misty mountain. He lost his footing on a slippery rock. He slid down the edge and desperately grabbed a thick vine. He hung there suspended in the thick white mist. He could not see the bottom of the valley. He was absolutely terrified. He held on to the rough vine with all his might. He hung there for 2 entire days. His hands bled profusely. His arms shook with intense pain. He cried out to the heavens for rescue. A wise eagle flew down and landed on a nearby branch. The eagle looked at the exhausted traveler. The eagle simply told the man to open his hands. The traveler refused completely. He firmly believed that letting go meant a terrible death. He chose the agonizing pain of holding on over the terrifying fear of the unknown. Finally, his physical strength completely disappeared. His fingers went numb. He could no longer hold the heavy weight of his own body. With a loud cry of despair, he opened his bleeding hands. He fell exactly 2 feet. He landed softly on a wide and perfectly safe grassy ledge. The thick mist had hidden this safe ground from his eyes. He suffered immense agony for 2 whole days. He suffered simply because he refused to let go of the vine. You are hanging on that exact same mountain right now. The broken relationship is the rough vine in your hands. You are bleeding. You are exhausted. You are completely terrified of the thick mist of the future. You think that if you let go of this person, you will fall into an endless abyss of loneliness. You deeply believe that your life will completely end. But the universe is incredibly compassionate. The ground beneath you is perfectly safe. The mist of your anxiety is simply hiding the solid earth. Letting go is not a terrible loss. It is a profound and beautiful return to your own true self. You must trust the unseen ground beneath your feet. You must trust your own ability to land safely. When you close your hands into tight fists, you trap the old pain inside. Nothing new can possibly enter a closed fist. You cannot receive new blessings with closed hands. You cannot catch a new beautiful flower if you are still gripping a dead branch. You must gently open your fingers. You must let the dead branch fall into the deep valley. Acceptance is the ultimate key to your freedom. You must accept that the story with this person has ended. You must accept their choices without trying to change them. They chose a different path. You cannot force them to walk your path. Forcing someone to love you is completely against the law of nature. Love must be given freely, or it is not love at all. You might feel a sudden rush of panic when you finally open your hands. The empty space in your life feels very strange. The quiet house feels too loud. This is a completely natural reaction. Your mind is addicted to the presence of the other person. Your brain expects them to be there. Breaking this deep mental addiction takes pure courage. You must look directly at your empty hands. Do not run away from the emptiness. Sit quietly in your room and observe the silence. The silence is not your enemy. The silence is your new safe sanctuary. It is the wide grassy ledge on the side of the mountain. You are finally resting. You are no longer fighting gravity. You are no longer fighting reality. Every single time a painful memory arises, you have a clear choice. You can grab the rough vine again. You can start bleeding again. Or you can simply watch the memory float away into the thick mist. You can choose to leave your hands completely open. True freedom is not getting everything you desire. True freedom is no longer being controlled by your desires. You are no longer controlled by the need for their affection. You are no longer a prisoner of their choices. You become the absolute master of your own peace. The mind will try to trick you. The mind will bring up images of their smiling face. The mind will remind you of the good times. When this happens, you must anchor yourself. You must bring your wandering mind back to the present moment. You must find a quiet place inside your own body. You will discover a simple and profound tool to calm the racing mind. We will explore how to use the rhythm of your own life to wash away the sudden waves of sorrow. The mind is a time traveler. It constantly runs back to the past. It replays painful memories. It shows you the face of the person who left. Then the mind runs into the future. It creates terrifying scenarios of endless loneliness. This creates a massive storm in your head. You feel completely overwhelmed. You need a strong anchor to stop the boat from crashing. There was a small wooden boat crossing a vast ocean. Suddenly a violent storm appeared. Giant waves crashed against the boat. The sailors were terrified. They ran around the deck in panic. They tried to fight the waves with their bare hands. Their panic made them exhausted. A wise sailor stepped forward. He did not yell at the storm. He walked calmly to the front of the boat. He released a heavy iron anchor into the deep water. It dug deeply into the solid sand. The storm continued to rage. But the small boat stopped drifting. It was securely tethered to the solid ground. The sailors could finally rest. Your wandering mind is like that panicked crew. The painful memories are the giant waves. The fear of the future is the howling wind. When you panic, you try to fight your own thoughts. You try to forcefully erase the past. But fighting your mind only creates exhaustion. You cannot stop the storm of grief by shouting at it. You must drop your iron anchor. Your anchor is your own breath. It is always with you. It is the steady rhythm of your pure existence. When a wave of memory hits, do not fight it. Simply close your eyes. Bring your attention to the air entering your nose. Feel your chest rise gently. Feel the warm air leaving your body. The memory might still be there. The sadness might still wash over you. But you are no longer drifting helplessly. You are anchored securely in the present moment. The past is a ghost. The future is a dream. The only reality is this single breath. The person who betrayed you cannot touch this present moment. Their deceit exists only in the past. Your safe harbor is right here. Every time the pain returns, simply drop the anchor again. You observe the deep sorrow without letting it drag you under the water. You watch the dark clouds pass through the sky of your mind. You realize that you are not the storm. You are the deep ocean beneath the waves. The surface might be violent, but the deep water remains perfectly calm. Practicing this daily builds immense inner strength. You stop running away from your feelings. You face the storm with a quiet heart. The wind of sorrow will eventually run out of energy. The dark clouds will part. The bright sun will shine on your face once again. You will survive because you know how to breathe. Breathing brings you back to your pure heart. It softens the hard edges of your pain. When the pain softens, you begin to see the world differently. You stop seeing only betrayers. You start seeing confused souls struggling in their own storms. We will explore this profound shift in vision. We will cultivate a beautiful flower that cures all resentment. When your pain softens, you begin to see the world with completely new eyes. You look at the person who broke your heart. You no longer see a powerful monster. You do not see an evil conqueror. You simply see a deeply confused human being. They are wandering blindly in the dark. This profound shift in vision is the birth of true compassion. Compassion is the most beautiful flower in the human heart. Let us explore a story about a traveler in a dense forest. The traveler was walking peacefully along a narrow dirt path. Suddenly a man ran out from the thick bushes. The man crashed heavily into the traveler. The traveler fell to the ground. His knee was badly scraped and bleeding. The traveler felt a sudden surge of intense anger. He opened his mouth to shout at the careless man. He wanted to curse the man for causing him physical pain. But the traveler looked closely at the frightened man. The man was trembling violently. His eyes were wide with pure terror. A fierce tiger was chasing him from the shadows. The man did not crash into the traveler out of malice. He was simply running for his absolute life. He was completely blinded by his own overwhelming fear. Instantly the anger vanished. The anger was replaced by a deep wave of pity. He quickly stood up and helped the terrified man find a safe place. The person who betrayed you is exactly like that terrified running man. They crashed into your beautiful life. They caused you immense and bleeding pain. Your first reaction is to shout and curse them. But you must look closely at their wandering soul. They are running from their own hidden tigers. They are chased by their deep insecurities. They are chased by their endless greed. They are terrified of their own inner emptiness. They did not betray you because they wanted to destroy your specific happiness. They betrayed you because they were desperately trying to save themselves from their own internal void. They grabbed onto a new affair exactly like a drowning person grabs a floating piece of wood. They are completely blind to the damage they cause to others. A drowning person will accidentally push their rescuer under the water. This is not out of pure evil. It is out of pure spiritual panic. Understanding this deep panic is the true essence of compassion. Cultivating compassion does not mean you accept their terrible behavior. It does not mean you invite them back into your safe home. You can feel deep pity for a wounded wolf. But you still close your door securely to protect your own life. Compassion is an internal state of grace. It is a medicine you drink to heal your own wounded heart. When you hate someone, you are tied to them with a heavy iron chain. Your mind follows them everywhere. Your energy is constantly drained by their memory. But compassion melts that iron chain completely. You look at them from a safe distance. You say a quiet prayer for their confused soul. You hope they eventually find their way out of the dark forest. You hope they find true peace so they stop hurting innocent people. This pure wish sets you completely free. Your heart becomes incredibly light. You are no longer carrying the heavy burden of their wrong choices. You realize that holding on to their guilt only poisons your own sacred well. You bless them on their difficult journey. You turn your face toward the bright sun. The healing flower blooms fully inside your chest. Its sweet fragrance washes away all the remaining bitterness. You breathe the clean air of absolute liberation. Every deep wound carries a hidden seed of profound wisdom. We will observe how the heaviest sorrow transforms into your greatest awakening. Every deep wound carries a hidden seed of profound wisdom. You have survived the fierce storm of betrayal. You have learned to drop the bitter cup of anger. You have cultivated the beautiful flower of compassion. Now you stand on the sacred ground of true awakening. You must look at your immense pain not as a curse. You must see your deep pain as your greatest teacher. When life is perfectly comfortable, we rarely seek the absolute truth. We fall asleep in our warm beds. We think the temporary joys of the world will last forever. We forget the universal law of change. But profound suffering shatters this comfortable sleep. A broken heart forcefully opens your eyes. The intense agony of betrayal burns away all your comfortable illusions. There was once a proud sculptor who lived in a grand mountain city. He spent his entire life carving a magnificent marble statue. He called it the Statue of Eternal Joy. He believed it was absolutely perfect. He placed it in the very center of his beautiful garden. He worshipped this stone figure every single day. He thought his masterpiece would easily outlast the stars. One summer night a terrifying storm struck the mountain. A massive bolt of lightning hit the marble statue directly. The perfect sculpture shattered into hundreds of broken pieces. The sculptor woke up and ran into the garden. He fell to his knees and wept bitterly. He thought his life was completely over. He sat in the ruins of his masterpiece for many days. He refused to eat or drink. But one morning the bright sun rose over the mountain peak. A golden ray of light hit the broken pieces of white marble. The light reflected brilliantly. The sculptor looked closely at the shattered stone. Beneath the heavy base of the broken statue he saw something miraculous. The lightning strike had cracked the solid bedrock. A stream of crystal-clear mountain water was bubbling up from the deep earth. He drank the pure water. It was incredibly sweet and instantly healed his exhausted body. He realized a profound truth. His heavy marble statue had actually blocked the hidden spring for many years. He only found the living water because his perfect illusion was entirely destroyed. Your broken relationship is exactly like that shattered statue. You built a grand monument to romantic love. You placed it in the very center of your soul. You thought it would bring you eternal joy. But human love is made of fragile stone. The lightning of betrayal struck your beautiful garden. Your perfect illusion was shattered into 100 pieces. You are weeping over the broken marble right now. But you must look beneath the heavy ruins. The destruction of your false attachment has cracked the hard shell of your ego. It has opened a deep space inside your heart. The pure spring of spiritual awakening is finally bubbling up to the surface. You could never find this living water while the heavy statue was blocking the path. Pain is a fierce and demanding teacher. It does not speak in gentle whispers. It shouts the ultimate truth of impermanence into your ears. It forces you to accept that absolutely nothing in this physical world lasts forever. People change their minds. Bodies grow old. Promises are broken. When you truly accept this impermanence, you stop fighting reality. You stop grasping at passing clouds. You stop demanding that other people behave exactly as you wish. You realize that your profound joy must come from the hidden spring within yourself. This is the supreme lesson of your suffering. The person who betrayed you was simply the lightning bolt. They were the blind force of nature that broke your heavy stone. You do not need to thank the lightning bolt. But you must deeply appreciate the clear water it revealed. You are no longer a sleeping prisoner of your own desires. You are a wide-awake soul. You possess a rare and beautiful depth that only deep sorrow can carve. The shallow mind only wants continuous pleasure. The awakened mind uses pain to discover absolute liberation. You have passed the most difficult test of the human heart. The old definitions of love and attachment no longer fit your vast spirit. You have outgrown the small boxes of ordinary romance. You are ready to explore a much higher form of connection. You are prepared to understand a love that does not bind or restrict. We will now journey into this magnificent new territory. We will discover a radiant love that thrives in absolute freedom. You have stepped into a magnificent new territory. You have outgrown the small boxes of ordinary romance. The old way of loving was filled with constant fear. It was built on the heavy illusion of ownership. You loved someone and immediately wanted to lock them in a safe room. You thought love meant gripping their hands so tightly that they could never leave. That old definition of love brought you immense and agonizing suffering. The betrayal forcefully made you drop that heavy definition. Now you are completely ready to understand a much higher form of connection. You are ready to discover a radiant love that thrives in absolute freedom. True love is never a tight iron chain. True love is a vast and completely open sky. When you truly love a beautiful bird, you do not build a golden cage. You open your window completely wide. You feel profound joy simply watching the bird fly across the white clouds. If the bird lands on your windowsill, you appreciate its beautiful song. If the bird flies away to a completely different forest, you still smile. Your pure joy does not depend on capturing the bird. Your joy comes directly from witnessing its absolute freedom. There was once an old botanist who traveled the vast world. He searched constantly for the rarest plants on earth. He wanted to collect them and put them in his famous warm greenhouse. One day he climbed a very dangerous and snowy mountain peak. Near the very top he found a breathtaking silver flower. It glowed perfectly in the freezing mountain wind. It was the absolute most beautiful thing he had ever seen in his long life. His immediate first instinct was to carefully dig it up. He wanted to take it down the mountain to his comfortable home. He knelt in the deep snow and took out his sharp tools. But he stopped and looked very closely at the delicate silver petals. He realized a profound truth. The flower was exquisitely beautiful exactly because it survived the harsh mountain wind. The freezing snow was its true and natural home. The fierce high altitude gave it its glowing internal strength. If he took the silver flower down to his safe greenhouse, it would surely wither. It would completely lose its magical glow in a perfectly safe environment. The old botanist quietly put his tools away. He sat in the freezing snow and simply admired the magnificent silver flower for a few long hours. He memorized its perfect delicate shape. He let its wild beauty fill his entire soul. Then he stood up and walked down the huge mountain entirely alone. He left the flower exactly where it belonged. He loved the silver flower deeply and completely. His love was so incredibly pure that he refused to possess it. He wanted the flower to live its true natural destiny. This is the profound essence of truly awakened love. It is the absolute absence of desperate grasping. When you love someone with a pure heart, you only want their ultimate happiness. You want them to grow beautifully. You want them to find their true unique path. Sometimes their true path leads them entirely away from you. Sometimes their journey requires them to walk a very different and distant road. The unfaithful partner walked away. They were following their own deeply confused path. They were desperately searching for something they could not find in your quiet garden. If your love is completely pure, you can actually look at them and wish them well. You can genuinely hope they find the peace they are desperately seeking. You do not need to possess them to love them. You do not need to hold their hand to know that your love was completely real. This sounds incredibly difficult to the deeply wounded mind. The ego screams very loudly against this radical idea. The ego wants exclusive rights. The ego demands absolute loyalty as a strict payment for affection. But true love is never a commercial transaction. True love is not a business deal. You do not trade your affection for guaranteed security. True love is a pure state of being. It is a warm light radiating constantly from your own chest. Look at the bright sun in the morning sky. The sun does not shine because it expects the tall trees to pay it back. The sun shines simply because it is the exact nature of the sun to give light. Your pure heart loves because it is your true spiritual nature to love. When someone deeply betrays you, they do not destroy your immense capacity to love. They only prove they are not the right recipient for your magnificent light at this specific moment. You absolutely do not need to turn off your beautiful light. You must never close your gentle heart. You simply let your light shine on the entire world instead of focusing it tightly on one single person. You begin to love the gentle morning breeze. You love the quiet ancient trees. You love the tired strangers walking down the busy street. Most importantly, you love your own beautiful healing soul. This vast and expansive love cures all your remaining bitterness. It completely washes away the final dark traces of the poison. You begin to realize that your ultimate happiness is completely independent. You are no longer a sad beggar sitting on the cold street corner of romance. You are not holding an empty cup. You are not waiting anxiously for someone to fill it with temporary affection. You are the infinite ocean of love itself. You have an endless supply of pure water bubbling up from your own awakened spirit. When you finally reach this state of supreme independence, you become entirely different. Your energy changes completely. You become incredibly peaceful. You no longer attract deeply confused souls looking for a temporary escape. You start to attract solid and awakened beings. You attract people who deeply understand the true value of freedom. But even if you walk the rest of your earthly life completely alone, you will never feel truly lonely again. You have found the ultimate and perfect companion. You have found your own true spiritual nature. This powerful realization builds an indestructible fortress around your delicate mind. The violent storms of the external world can still rage outside. People will still make terrible and confusing choices. The physical world will always remain wildly unpredictable. But absolutely none of that external chaos can ever touch your profound inner peace. We will now learn how to maintain this powerful fortress. We will discover the quiet daily practices that carefully guard your awakened mind from the constantly shifting winds of the unpredictable world. You have built a magnificent new understanding. You stand inside an indestructible inner fortress. But the physical world outside will always remain unpredictable. People will still make deeply confusing choices. Violent storms will still blow across the vast ocean of life. You cannot control the dark clouds. You cannot command the heavy rain to stop. You can only control the strength of your own walls. You must learn how to carefully guard your awakened mind. You must protect your quiet sanctuary from the noisy world. There was once a proud king who loved the ocean. He commanded his workers to build a grand palace right on the soft beach. He wanted to hear the waves every single night. The palace was incredibly beautiful. It had tall pillars and large open windows. The king felt incredibly powerful. He thought he had conquered the wild sea. But one dark winter night a massive hurricane arrived. The ocean rose violently. The giant waves crashed into the beautiful palace. Because it was built on shifting sand, the grand structure collapsed completely. The king lost everything in a single terrifying night. He survived the terrible storm. He walked far away from the dangerous beach. He found a massive and solid mountain of gray rock. He decided he would never build on shifting sand again. He ordered his workers to carve a new home directly into the solid rock face. It took many years of hard and silent work. When the new stone fortress was finally finished, another wild hurricane struck the land. The fierce wind howled loudly. The heavy rain beat against the gray stone. But the king sat inside his new home in absolute peace. He drank warm tea and smiled. The storm could not shake the solid mountain. Your mind before the betrayal was exactly like the first palace. You built your entire happiness on the shifting sand of another person. You relied on their unpredictable emotions. You depended entirely on their fragile promises. When the hurricane of deceit arrived, your beautiful palace completely collapsed. You experienced profound and devastating loss. But your tears have washed away the soft sand. You have found the solid bedrock of your own pure spirit. You are now carving a brilliant new fortress directly into this solid rock. This rock is your daily mindfulness. This rock is your unwavering self-respect. Guarding your mind simply means refusing to build on sand ever again. You must become an island unto yourself. An island does not cry when the water moves away. An island does not panic when the tide rushes in. The island simply exists in its own profound strength. You observe the changing tides of human behavior without losing your footing. If a person treats you with true kindness, you appreciate their warmth. If a person acts with cruel deceit, you simply watch them walk away. You do not let their dark confusion enter your stone fortress. Every single morning you must sweep the floor of your mind. You sweep away the dead leaves of anxiety. You wash the windows with deep and steady breathing. You refuse to let bitter thoughts sit in your quiet rooms. When a dark memory knocks on your heavy door, you do not invite it inside. You acknowledge its presence and firmly lock the door. This daily practice requires deep and beautiful dedication. You become the absolute master of your own internal weather. The sun shines constantly inside your quiet mountain. You are cultivating a profound sense of loyalty to your own soul. This pure loyalty is the highest virtue a human being can possess. We will explore the magnificent power of an honest heart. We will see how your pure actions silently create a brilliant future. You might look back at your own faithful heart and feel a deep sense of regret. You gave absolute loyalty to someone who did not value it. You kept your sacred promises while they broke theirs. The mind whispers a very cruel lie. The mind tells you that your loyalty was a foolish weakness. You might even think about changing your beautiful nature. You might think about becoming cold and guarded. But you must never let the dark actions of another person destroy your bright character. Loyalty is never a weakness. Loyalty is the ultimate expression of spiritual strength. It is the purest gold in the human soul. There was once a dedicated goldsmith in a crowded city. He was given a very sacred task. He was asked to craft a golden lotus for the central temple. He worked quietly in his small shop for many months. Other craftsmen in the city often cheated their customers. They secretly mixed cheap heavy metals inside their golden statues. They painted the outside with a thin layer of pure gold. They made huge profits and laughed at the honest goldsmith. They called him a fool for using solid pure gold for the entire lotus. The honest goldsmith simply smiled and continued his quiet work. He did not care about their secret tricks. He did not care about making a massive profit. He only cared about the absolute purity of his offering. He knew that the cheap metals would eventually rust from the inside out. He knew the fake statues would slowly lose their bright shine. He wanted his golden lotus to remain brilliantly beautiful for 1,000 years. When the lotus was finally placed in the temple, it radiated a breathtaking light. Decades passed. The fake statues in the city began to crack. Dark green rust ruined their thin golden layers. But the honest lotus remained absolutely perfect. Its pure nature could never be corrupted by time. Your faithful heart is exactly like that solid golden lotus. You did not mix your love with the cheap metals of deceit. You offered pure devotion. You gave your absolute best. The person who received your golden offering did not know how to appreciate it. They were used to cheap and fake metals. They chose the rusty path of betrayal. But their terrible choice does not change the pure nature of your heart. You are still entirely made of gold. Your loyalty was never a waste of time. It was a magnificent display of your own deep integrity. Every single time you chose to be honest, you planted a beautiful seed. Every time you kept a quiet promise, you watered that beautiful seed. The universe records every single pure intention. The universe sees the invisible gold inside your chest. People deeply misunderstand the law of karma. They think karma is only about punishing bad deeds. But karma is also the magnificent accumulation of good deeds. Your unwavering loyalty has built a massive mountain of positive energy. This positive energy belongs entirely to you. It does not belong to the person who walked away. You get to keep every single ounce of your pure karma. You might ask why bad things happen to loyal people. You wonder why a pure heart has to suffer such terrible pain. Bad things do not happen to loyal people as a karmic punishment. The painful betrayal is actually a profound cosmic redirection. The universe removes the wrong people from your life to actively protect your golden heart. The universe saw the cheap metal in there so long before you did. The universe decided they were no longer worthy of your pure gold. You were not punished. You were actually rescued. The person who betrayed you walked away with completely empty hands. They carry the heavy rust of their own lies. They must live with the dark consequences of a fractured soul. You get to walk away with a heart completely full of light. You get to sleep peacefully every single night. A clear conscience is the softest pillow in the entire world. You must deeply honor your own beautiful character. Do not let the cruelty of one confused person turn your gold into cold stone. The world desperately needs your bright light. The world needs people who still believe in sacred promises. You are a beacon of hope in a deeply confused society. When you fully embrace the beauty of your own loyalty, something magical happens. Your energy frequency changes completely. You stop mourning the loss of a fake connection. You start celebrating the survival of your own pure spirit. You realize you did not lose anything valuable at all. You simply lost a profound illusion. This pure energy acts like a powerful magnet. Like attracts like in this vast universe. When you constantly radiate the bright energy of honesty, you naturally repel deceitful people. Liars are deeply uncomfortable in the presence of absolute truth. Your pure light actually blinds them. They will naturally stay away from your safe garden. At the same time, your bright light will attract beautiful things. You will begin to attract situations that perfectly match your high vibration. You will attract genuine friendships. You will attract a deep and unshakable peace. You are preparing your beautiful garden for a completely new harvest. The soil of your mind is now incredibly rich. The heavy storm of betrayal watered the deep earth. The old poisonous weeds have been completely pulled out by the roots. You have open space to plant whatever you truly desire. You can plant seeds of boundless joy. You can plant seeds of quiet contentment. You can create a life that feels entirely authentic. We have walked a very long way together. We have walked through the dark night of the soul. We have faced the fierce flames of anger. We have crossed the vast and lonely desert. Now we stand at the very edge of the deep forest. A gentle breeze is blowing through the green trees. The dark sky is slowly turning a soft shade of blue. The heavy burden has finally fallen from your tired shoulders. We are completely ready to take the very last steps of this long journey. We will step boldly into the warm light of a brand new day. You step out of the heavy forest. The dawn has arrived. The long and painful night is completely over. You take a deep breath of the cool morning air. The heavy burden you carried for so long has fallen away. The dark sky is now a brilliant shade of blue. The warm sunlight touches your tired face. You open your eyes and see a brand new world. There was once a small village nestled in a deep green valley. The people lived in simple wooden houses. They loved their beautiful valley deeply. One year a massive storm gathered above the high mountains. The heavy rain fell continuously for many days. A great and terrifying flood swept through the entire valley. The roaring dark water washed away every single wooden house. The frightened villagers had to run up to the high hills to save their precious lives. They stood on the high hills and wept bitterly. They looked down at their ruined lives. They saw nothing but dark mud and broken wood. They thought the angry river had destroyed their future completely. They mourned their lost homes for many long months. They could not imagine how they would ever survive. But the warm spring sun eventually returned. The dark mud began to dry in the gentle wind. The villagers noticed something truly miraculous. The terrifying flood had carried incredibly rich soil from the hidden mountains. This new soil was full of rare and powerful minerals. It was the absolute most fertile earth they had ever seen. Soon beautiful green shoots appeared everywhere in the dark mud. The villagers gathered their courage and planted new seeds. Within a few short years the valley was transformed entirely. Magnificent fruit trees grew taller than ever before. The seasonal harvests were incredibly abundant. The small village became the most prosperous place in the entire region. The villagers built grand new homes from solid stone. They realized a very profound truth. The terrible flood did not come to destroy them. The flood came to bring them the rich soil of the high mountains. Without the devastating flood, they would have lived in fragile wooden houses forever. The betrayal you experienced was exactly like that terrifying flood. It swept away your old comfortable life. It washed away your familiar wooden house. You stood on the hill of your grief and wept over the dark mud. You thought your beautiful life was completely ruined. You thought you would never smile again. But look very closely at the soil of your mind today. The painful storm has left behind incredibly rich earth. Your soul is now deeply fertile. You have a profound understanding of the human heart. You possess a rare and beautiful resilience. You can now plant seeds that will grow into a magnificent new reality. You are no longer the exact same person who walked into the dark forest. You have changed entirely. Your gentle heart was broken into many sharp pieces. But you did not throw the broken pieces away. You gathered them very carefully. You washed them with the clean and pure water of self-compassion. You mended the deep cracks with the pure gold of your own awakened wisdom. A ceramic bowl repaired with pure gold is far more beautiful than a new bowl. It is completely unique. The glowing golden scars tell a magnificent story of profound survival. You wear your golden scars with absolute dignity. They are not the sad marks of a helpless victim. They are the shining medals of a completely awakened soul. You survived the absolute worst pain a human heart can feel. You look back at the person who betrayed you. You no longer feel the burning heat of intense anger. You no longer feel the cold grip of deep sorrow. You simply feel a vast and quiet emptiness. It is a very peaceful emptiness. They are just a confused person who played a difficult role in your grand story. They were the wild storm that brought the rich soil. They were the fierce lightning that cracked your heavy stone. You do not need to thank them for their cruel actions. You do not need to speak to them ever again. You simply release their heavy memory into the passing wind. You let the wind carry them far away to their own chosen destiny. You turn your bright eyes completely toward your own clear horizon. You have discovered the absolute greatest secret of human existence. You have discovered that true peace does not come from the outside world. It does not come from the fragile promises of another person. True peace lives quietly inside your own deep chest. It is a steady and warm flame that no external wind can ever blow out. You must also remember to deeply forgive yourself. During the dark and lonely night you blamed your own pure heart. You thought you were foolish for trusting someone so deeply. You punished your own mind for not seeing the terrible lies sooner. You must drop that heavy and false guilt right now. You trusted because your fundamental nature is completely pure. You loved deeply because you have a vast and generous soul. You must never apologize for having a beautiful and trusting heart. The deep fault belongs entirely to the one who abused that sacred trust. You can look at your beautiful reflection in the clear water today. You see a strong person who survived a terrifying fire. The fire burned away all your false and heavy attachments. It burned away your deep hidden insecurities. Only the absolute and pure truth remains. You are a being of immense and radiant light. You have a profound and beautiful purpose in this vast world. Your purpose is not to suffer endlessly over a broken promise. Your purpose is to shine brilliantly and help others find their way out of the dark. Many people are still walking blindly through that terrifying forest of betrayal. They are weeping over their own broken marble statues. They are desperately chasing dangerous mirages in the hot desert. When they see your deep and unshakable peace, they will ask you for directions. They will wonder how you survived the raging storm with such absolute grace. You will not need to preach to them. You will not need to give them complicated theories. You will simply show them the pure gold in your beautifully healed scars. Your quiet and steady presence will be their greatest teacher. Your healed heart becomes a safe sanctuary for others. This is the profound magic of spiritual alchemy. You completely transform your deepest pain into a powerful medicine for the entire world. The betrayal was an incredibly bitter root. But you brewed it into a sweet and healing tea. You drink this warm tea and share it with the universe. The path ahead of you is incredibly beautiful. There will be brand new seasons and breathtaking new landscapes. There will be gentle spring rains and warm autumn winds. You will meet completely new souls who resonate perfectly with your high frequency. You will build new connections based on absolute truth and mutual freedom. There will be no hidden masks. There will be no dark and heavy secrets. You will walk together in the bright and pure sunlight. But you will also deeply cherish your beautiful solitude. You will love the quiet and peaceful moments when your house is completely still. You will listen to the steady and calming rhythm of your own breathing. You will realize that you are your own absolute greatest companion. You are the faithful and loyal friend you were always searching for. The old heavy book is completely closed. The painful story of betrayal is entirely finished. The dark ink is completely dry. You place that heavy book on a very high shelf. You take out a completely blank new notebook. The fresh pages are perfectly clean and bright white. You pick up a brand new pen. You take a deep and joyful breath of the fresh morning air. The sun warms your gentle face. You smile at the vast blue sky. You are completely ready to write a beautiful new story.